tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez très très bien. Bienvenue au 4e épisode de Banco Talks. Donc comme vous le savez, Banco Talks, c'est votre émission qui parle d'architecture, de construction, de BTP, d'agriculture urbaine, de ces secteurs qui sont super innovants et super importants pour nous à Kabakoo Academies, notamment dans le cadre des activités qu'on fait pour le laboratoire d'innovation future régénérative au Sahel. Donc Banco Talks, c'est une émission en ligne que vous pouvez suivre sur YouTube, LinkedIn et Facebook, et où chaque fois, en fait, on va discuter d'un sujet autour de ces thématiques sur l'architecture, la construction, l'agriculture durable, urbaine, la réalité étendue et virtuelle aussi, avec un invité ou une invitée spéciale. Et aujourd'hui, on a vraiment l'honneur, c'est pas la première fois que Amara vient à Kabakoo, donc c'est quelqu'un aussi de la maison, mais oui, aujourd'hui, on a vraiment l'honneur d'avoir avec nous Amara Golfa, qui est architecte, aussi entrepreneur et fondateur de l'entreprise Terre Sahel. Du coup, juste pour vous dire, donc ce live va avoir plusieurs langues. Là, je suis en train de parler en français. Notre discussion avec Amara va se dérouler essentiellement en anglais. Bon, il y aura quelques mix aussi, un peu de français, un peu de bambara. Donc, essayez de suivre. Je pense que ça va pas être très, très difficile. So, yeah, I will switch right now to English. Thank you very much, Amara.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. It's really a pleasure to have you again at Kabakoo. I was just saying that this is, a program where we discuss architecture, construction, urban agriculture, and extended reality, those innovations, those sectors that are important to the innovation lab of Kabakoo, Regenerative Futures in the Sahel. And for each episode, we invite someone who is interested and interesting in these fields. And today we are having you.
Thank you very
and
much.
It's really a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
So, Amara, would you like to present to yourself to our viewers in any language you want to do it?
Okay.
If you want to do it in Bambara,
All right.
do it in Bambara.
Okay. So my name is Amara Golfa, and I am the founder of Terre Sahel. Terre Sahel meaning earth, and the earth that we get from the Sahel, basically. So to say it in Bambara quickly, ne togo Amara Golfa ne de Terre Sahel damine depuis mois de 2019 là quoi. Oui.
Cool.
Very quick.
Cool. So, yeah, Amara, let's start from kind of the beginning. You studied abroad in the UK, right?
Yeah, I studied architecture in the UK. Just actually before architecture in the UK, I studied art and design.
Okay, cool.
So where I had the foundation of architecture, because architecture in itself is an art course. So yeah, I did a year in art and design, and then I moved to architecture, where I studied architecture for 4.5 years in the UK.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool, that's very impressive. Du coup, ouais, vous savez, si vous êtes aussi intéressé par l'architecture, l'art, la culture, il y a une formation, vous pouvez la suivre aussi à Kabakoo, qui est sur l'architecture régénérative et qui est en cours en ce moment. So, Amara, you studied in the UK architecture.
Yeah.
And then what really motivated you to come back to Mali and after your studies and to found actually Terre Sahel?
So I think once you study architecture, or actually in the process of studying architecture, you get to meet a lot of teachers, you get to find different ideas, and you get influenced by a lot of the things that are around you. So for example, we travel to different cities in the UK or even Italy. We went to different cities in Europe. So you get influenced by all of these things actually. But one of the things that I was captivated by during my second year was when I came across this giant architect of Africa named Francis Kere. So yeah, I saw one of his work because during that time we were designing to study. We are studying to design a school.
Yeah.
So they gave us some of his work as a president study to research more, and then I was very, very blown away by what I saw, because I saw someone who was using a material that I knew, but I didn't know quite well, which was earth actually.
Yeah.
So I saw the way he explored that material and the way he used that material in a more in a modern way basically. So I was
Okay.
very, very captivated, and since that time my idea just changed completely, and I wanted to do that in my home country. Yeah.
Ok, cool. Donc, en fait, pour ceux ou celles qui nous regardent, qui ne connaissent pas Francis Kéré, c'est un architecte qui est burkinabé et qui a gagné le prix de Caire,
Oui.
qui est, je pense, en 2022, 2022.
2022, je crois.
Yeah.
Oui.
En 2022, il a gagné le prix de Caire, qui est l'équivalent du prix Nobel de l'architecture.
Oui,
Donc, c'est un très grand prix et il est connu pour ses architectures qui sont faites surtout avec la terre comme matériau principal. So, Amara, we can say that getting to know about Francis Kéré was the most impactful part of your studies in the UK?
Definitely, I think definitely, because one of the things that I never expected was to see an African architect being studied in one of the, I wouldn't say the best university, but all of the universities in the UK are considered to be prestigious. So to see an African doing something wonderful and something that was even presented to us by our teachers and our lecturers, I think that was really, really a game changer for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that's very, I think, representation is very important, and that's actually very, very powerful, because like for my experience, I studied also architecture, and like at least 90% of architects we were studying were foreign architects.
Exactly.
And also architecture that we
Exactly.
were studying was not like really African architecture.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe, did this made you think about the whole like architecture education system in Africa?
Exactly. I think, if I'm going to be honest, I think one of the saddest things that I learned here about our architecture, or the way we study architecture in Africa here, is actually our architecture, the learning is based on the European version.
Yeah, sure.
And I think when you study architecture in the UK or in other places in the Europe, they try to show you the history of architecture based on their own perspective. So you start from, for example, the medieval ages to, Renaissance, to modernism.
That's what I studied here in Africa too.
So
that's weird,
Yeah. So instead of coming back to Africa and say, okay, this is vernacular architecture. This is how we started, with sticks maybe, and then we move into the mud houses, and then we have in Mali like the pseudo-Sahelian architecture, like the one
which
we
is
find
very rich actually. By the way.
Very, very rich.
Yeah.
So like studying in the UK gives you a sense of importance of what we actually have here. So imagine if just a bit of studying or just a bit of an exposure to an African architecture delivered by my lecturers made an impact on how I think and shaped even my career. Imagine if I was exposed to this for the number of years that I studied in the UK.
Exactly,
I think, I think it will create a sense of, I don't know how to, like you will be more associated with the architecture of Africa.
You can appropriate it actually better.
Yeah.
Non, mais je pense que c'est vraiment un sujet super important. On adresse aussi ce sujet dans la formation, c'est que on a tellement un patrimoine architectural et culturel riche en Afrique, mais malheureusement, les études aujourd'hui sont focalisées sur d'autres modèles, d'autres cultures. Moi, j'ai fait des études en architecture, mais les architectures que j'ai pu étudier, c'est surtout des architectures européennes / internationales, mais très, très peu. J'ai eu très peu l'occasion d'étudier pendant mon cursus universitaire des architectures africaines, des architectures locales, alors qu'il y a tellement de richesses là-dedans. So, Amara, I also know that you had an experience in India.
Indonesia,
Indonesia, sorry.
Yeah.
So, What did you do in Indonesia?
I think Indonesia, after studying in the UK,
Yeah.
I think was one of the places that had a great impact on completely how I think about architecture.
Okay.
Because after studying in the UK, so it was a totally different environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then after graduating, even before graduating, I was sort of looking at places where I can kind of continue with exploring this architecture that I found, which
Okay.
is Francis Gehry architecture. And I found that Indonesians are really, really good at exploring their local materials. So places like Bali,
Yeah.
you go to Surabaya,
There is a lot of bamboo there, right?
a lot of bamboo.
Yeah.
So I think Indonesia, there's the East Java, you have Central Java, and so all of these places that you go, they present a different kind of architecture.
Yeah.
So you have in Bali, you have bamboo. You come to Surabaya or Jakarta, you see red bricks. So
Okay.
a lot of things that are happening there. So and I thought, actually, I should explore Indonesia more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I found one of the really, really coolest architectural firm, and I was so grateful to be in that. And the name is Andi Rahman Architect. I think
Okay.
is one of the best architects in Indonesia currently now. Yeah.
Okay. I think actually that's very cool also to see some contexts where those local actually knowledge continue to actually to be very important today, and there is kind of an evolution in the use actually of those architectural techniques and knowledge, which is, I mean, do you think at least it's the case here in Mali or in the Sahelian cities, countries?
The use of
The evolution of the use of the local materials in architecture.
I think here the case really here is we have a kind of our history of development of architecture, and then that history got destroyed by our love of modernism.
Okay.
So like we create blocks and each and every place tends to look alike.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we kind of reflect back on our history. I don't know if you know in Jene, each and every year they do this replastering of so apart from that, you don't get to see much of Jene.
Yeah, that's true.
You see, so I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna talk about Jene, it should be reflected in. I'm talking about Jene because it's one of the like very well-known places, but we have other examples even in Segu here.
Yeah.
So like if we're gonna talk about all this architecture, it should be continuous. It should be reflected in our architecture, in so many buildings that we do. But unfortunately, I think our building has been hijacked by all this modernist architect. And it's quite sad because some people don't realize that they are even modernists. They just tend to follow the trend, which is very sad actually.
I totally agree with you actually. Like what you are trying to do, for example, here at Kabakoo is to change actually the approach regarding those kind of architecture. Like the mainstream approach right now is considering them as just heritage that we need to take care of.
Exactly.
But it's part of the past, which is literally, I mean, false, because those kind of architectures and those techniques and that knowledge can have an important place in the future,
of course,
since it's very suited actually to the local context or the local economies and cultures.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of work that I think needs to be done, and we are trying to educate the youth and to show them the importance of that architecture. But there are different ways. You are doing it in your way. So you decided to come back to Mali and to launch Terre Sahel. How did you start actually?
So Terre Sahel started, I guess, since in Indonesia.
Yeah.
But
okay. I didn't know. I thought it
so the name started in 2020. So I was here in 2019, but then I created Terre Sahel, registered in 2020.
Okay, so at the beginning it was also Terre Sahel, not Terre Indonesia.
It was Terre Sahel.
Okay.
But the name was there,
Yeah.
but has not been implemented yet.
Okay.
Because so when I was in Indonesia, my main focus was how can I get so much experience so that when I come to Mali here,
Yeah.
I can just start implementing. And I think one of the things that I learned that has really impacted the way that I do things now was the fact that Mr. Andy Rahman, one of my mentors, like really great guy, Andy Rahman, architect. So he took me to all these places in Indonesia where they fabricate bricks. I remember we went to a city called Mojokerto. So
Okay.
they specialize in building all these ancient, I don't know, tombs. I don't know. They're so beautiful, and they don't use cement, and it was so beautiful. And after that, we ended up producing bricks in Indonesia,
Okay.
and I was like, no, this has to be imported to Mali.
Okay, so
So-
you learned the technique there.
In Indonesia,
Okay.
yes.
Du coup, là, on parle en fait de la technique de la brique de terre compressée. Que, enfin, Amara, il va vous en parler davantage, mais c'est une technique où on compresse en fait la terre pour avoir des briques qui sont solides. And then you came to Mali.
Yeah, so I came to Mali with a single press machine, and
Okay.
my main focus was how can we produce what we produce in Indonesia.
Okay.
Because obviously Indonesia presents a challenge that is different from Mali.
Yeah.
So once you're here, you start to recognize different things, like the type of soil you're working with, the people you're working with. Everything is important, you know. The things you see, the things that are around you, how they impact your work, you know. So through that, we started producing the bricks, and we did a lot of tests in the lab here. There's
Okay.
one of the famous lab here in Banco. They call it the CNRX.
Ouais, CNRX,
oui.
yes.
So we did a lot of tests. It took us about a year and a half to produce bricks, to leave them in the like outdoor to see how they are affected by the rainfall and all that. And we got a lot of experience based on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay.
So
That's
since
very
that, we've just been developing. We have a big machine. We have lots of projects that are happening right now in Bamako. Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
if I understand you well, the first challenge was actually to understand the type of soil you were working with, to get the analysis and to have a good quality of soil.
Exactly. So just a quick comment on laterite soil that we are using here in Bamako. So for you to get a brick that is very good, it has to have a 65% content of sand.
Okay.
Because each and every soil has sand, gravel, it has clay,
Yeah.
it has they call it limo in
Yeah.
in
no,
French.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah,
but
I think limo is. I think limo is. I actually forgot the name in English, but you have to have gravel, sand, so clay, and also you have to have. So these 3 or 4 things actually.
Okay.
So each and everything that you see in the that you find in the soil, you have to understand how it affects the brick. So, for example, if you have too much clay, and if you make that brick out of clay without adjusting the material, it's going to end up breaking.
Yeah.
So, through that process of making bricks, we were able to understand a lot of soil here. Yeah. So, based on that, we were very confident on our bricks and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So right now we can have you found like the best, let me say, ingredients in terms of soil to work with.
Yeah, so not necessarily the best ingredient, but we found, or actually we have the understanding of how to analyze the
Okay.
soil.
How to
Because
work with
each
it.
and every virgin soil is different.
Yeah.
You have a sandy clay soil, you have a clay soil, you have silt. Yeah, so lemon is silt
Yeah, yeah, it's
actually.
silt, okay.
Yeah. So you have to understand all the soils and how to balance the material.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we are pretty confident on that knowledge that we have, and we can pretty make bricks from 90% of the soil that we
Okay,
can find
that's
here.
cool. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's very, very interesting. And so, let me say those challenges were kind of technical challenges, but not impossible. However, like as an entrepreneur here in Mali, what were like your biggest challenges to launch actually Terre Sahel?
I think one of the biggest challenges was how can you convince, because the material is already here. I think the material, the laterite brick was here since they call it the Musa.
Yeah.
Musa was one of the former president in Mali. So the material was there, and people actually kind of lost touch with the material. So the biggest challenge was how can we revive this material, not just in a way that people know, but in a way that Francis Carey does it. So in a way that is modern, in a way that people
In
can
a way that's
simply
beautiful
exactly
and attractive.
exactly, because people have been building here for the past 2-3 decades with cement.
Yeah.
So to bring a material that they know but have forgotten about and try to make a quick switch was one of the biggest challenge.
Okay.
But we were determined because one of the first few fabrications that we made were well received by people because we did that test actually. So we made some few bricks and then we took it to the street and we took it home, to get to understand what people think. And I think the reaction that people gave us was very positive, which is one of the reasons why we actually pushed this idea.
But like you needed to convince some first clients by the product, or it happened naturally?
I think some of the first clients that we had already knew the material, but they had a difficulty accessing the material because not so many people were doing it. Even people who were doing it, I don't think there's a great access to the material. Yeah. So some of the people that first came, they knew the material, so it was very easy for us to say, okay, this is the material that you wanted and this is what we can give you. But I think the majority of the people, we had to tell them, okay, this brick, this is the importance of the brick, and it's good for the environment, and try to convince people. Some people are can be easily convinced, and you give them and they understand. But for some, I think you have to go beyond just saying this is this, this is this. You have to show them physically how the material operates.
And when you say physically, like, is it a prototype that you put together, or what exactly?
Yeah, so I think you will find that Teresa Hell has been here for almost four years. Going to 5 years now. And I think by prototype, it has to be a building actually. So
a real scale
project, so I think one of the biggest opportunity that we had was when we introduced the material. Some people already knew the material and they were ready to invest so that we can build something that they can see. So I think we built a house in Badalabugu, and I think that served as a catalyst, for Teresa Hell.
That's very interesting, actually.
Yeah,
that's very interesting, because like we've been thinking a lot about how to make that change actually in the society, how to introduce new materials, and I think your experience is actually very like inspiring and shows that it's actually possible. And if you kind of have some little network and you start with the prototypes, with real scale prototypes that are built and accepted by the clients, it can have a very good impact, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. So can you share with us like some success, some proud moments from your journey with Teresa Hell?
I think one of the biggest, I wish I can show you the picture, but I think one of the biggest...
You will send us the picture so that we can show them to the viewers.
Otherwise, one of the biggest success I had was one of the few bricks that I made. So I think when we started, it was so difficult for us to produce the bricks here because I was directly applying the Indonesian experience here in Mali. But then I realized, I think things has to be done differently. For example, when we produced the bricks in Indonesia, they used like this wooden bricks, a wooden frame, brick mold actually. So what they usually do, they cast it on the ground and then they lift up the wooden. So you have the brick there for a day or two. But here we had a press. So you have to find a way to press the bricks and take it instantly so that you can make way to produce the second bricks. And I think the biggest challenge was for us to take the brick and place it. And 90% or 100%, I think, of the bricks that we made on the first day, all of them broke. So I was so not discouraged, but I was like, okay, I am here. I left Indonesia, Hong Kong, UK, and I couldn't even produce a single brick. So it was a very huge challenge. And when I made that brick, I stood and took a picture of that brick. I still have that brick.
Yeah.
I think I should frame it and put it in my
The first brick.
the first brick. Yeah. So I think that was a huge success. Even though I had so much failure after that, producing the bricks, but then that first brick that I produced told me that actually you can produce something like this. So you just have to keep on going, and we went from 10 bricks, 50, 400 to almost 5,000 bricks on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's actually very inspiring. Like to know that you've learned from the process, that you had some failures but successes too. That's very, entrepreneurship, let me say, as a path, and congrats for that.
Thank you.
Congrats. So maybe some of the viewers are a bit unfamiliar with BTC, with the brick, like the BTC. So could you explain what makes it really suited to the context here, to the Malian or to the Sahelian context?
Yeah, so I think I keep on going back to the UK because in the UK you study a lot about context. Architecture and context is very, very important. So how can you produce a building that can only fit that context? You know, for example, I can take a building, like Timbuktu or the Grand Mosque of Jenny. You can take it and place it in the White House or whatever you want to put it. It can never be like the one we have here. And I think that understanding sort of shaped how I'm thinking about architecture completely now. So in terms of BTC, I think one of the greatest importance of BTC, brick terre compressé, or compressed stabilized earth bricks, is that the material that you use to produce it is readily available here. Like you can just dig up the ground, just go down a few meters, and you would have the material to produce the brick. So it's readily available, which means it is cheap. And then in terms of the technical part, where it's actually good for the weather, like thermally, it can prevent so much heat from coming inside the building. I think that adds so much importance given the amount of heat, how the global warming is, how the world is being affected by global warming. And even last year, I think there's a city in Mali here, Kai estate in Mali, which broke the record of the hottest season we've ever had in I think in West Africa or Africa, I'm not sure. Like it went up to 50 degrees Celsius, which is very, very, hot.
I mean, the Sahelian region is the reason that is the most right now vulnerable to climate change in terms of temperature actually. So there is a lot of work. And it's very nice actually. It's very important to know that there are solutions. Solutions are here, are very accessible actually, and that we just need to look actually to them, to search for alternatives. Du coup, toi qui nous regardes, si tu as des questions à poser à Amara Golfa, il faut que tu poses tes questions. Donc tu peux écrire tes questions en commentaire si tu nous regardes sur YouTube, sur Facebook ou sur LinkedIn. Il suffit de taper ta question et on va répondre à ta question. So Amara, I just have some few other questions, especially regarding the market here in Mali. So do you think that the Malian market is beginning to open up to materials like BTC?
I think over the few years now, I've been doing this for 5 years now. And I think even when I started, I realized a lot of people want the material, but they weren't too sure of how the buildings were gonna be in the future. They try to pose a lot of questions about the security. And I think in these few years, because of the heat, a lot of people have been asking about the bricks. And I can tell you, a lot of people have had, because what people want is just to approve, basically, to say this building actually works. And I think we've provided few buildings that actually works. So
Okay.
people are super interested now.
Okay.
Super interested, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's very good to know, actually. And right now, I mean, what kind of clients do you really really have?
So most of our clients, unfortunately, I would say, are from the middle class, upper middle class.
Okay.
And I think one of our biggest goal in Ter Sahel is to make sure that the material is accessible in whatever way we can
Yeah.
in Mali, because we have no choice. We have to present the material in a way that people can produce it themselves if they cannot buy it from us. And I think this is one of the reasons why we built a machine, a manual machine, and we actually sold quite a few to the locals actually. So to show them that actually we are a company, we actually have to survive also, because we have people that we employ, charges, so we have to make all those payments. And once you start making that, the price of the brick goes up a bit, but there are other ways that you can bypass. So this is why we produce the local press machine, and people can buy, and then they can produce the bricks locally, just like the way they produce the cement bricks for themselves. Yeah,
that's interesting. So people also can participate in the process.
Yeah, actually right now I have a guy in my company there who bought a machine, but he's been here for nearly a week. He came all the way from Kai, and he's been learning about the bricks, and he bought a machine. He wants to go and start producing.
So like, do you offer some learning courses or workshops to people who want to?
Yeah, of course. We've had people from France.
Okay, who came to?
I've had a lady from the States who wanted to come to Mali.
How about Malians? You want Malians to learn?
About Malians. But this is to show you that actually,
it's
because of the interest that people have both in and out of Mali. So we've been trying to actually create an environment where learning can be facilitated. So this is why we build a machine, and I'm sure in the future we'll have classes and where we can teach people.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's very very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, regarding the let me say the Sahelian states, the Sahelian States Alliance, do you work actually in countries of those in the region, or right now you are just focused on Mali?
I think our main focus is on Mali right now, but I think we're still open to opportunities. I don't want to say now, but I think soon we'll be heading to Senegal. Yeah, so
that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's not like we're leaving Mali, but we've had clients who are interested in what we do and how we do our work, and I think we're very open to going to other countries in Africa. I've had people from Uganda ask me through like a phone call about how we make the bricks. Even if you go to my YouTube channel, you see people posing questions, and people take my number or my page, and then they call me, and then I get to direct them on. I think I've had quite a few people do that. Yeah.
And I have just one last question, because it's very important actually in Kabakoo. With Ter Sahel, is there any digital like platform that facilitates, the relationship with clients, the selling process, and all of that?
I think
if you want to order like just online, I don't know, 2,000 bricks, is it possible?
Right now I think we do phone calls. Yeah. So we do phone calls. We do. I think TikTok is one of the biggest. Platform out there. Facebook as well. So we try to put out our name on social media, and through that people link up with us. And I think most of our clients tend to know about us through social media. So we try to find ways, and if we can one day produce a way to connect with people more efficiently, where Ter Sahel is very open to it.
We're actually, I think we'll work together, because we actually just launched, I think we have an online question. But before that, because we launched lately a digital training like course that will start actually tomorrow. and it has a section that is called like digital solutions and business for the BTP sector, so bâtiments et travaux publics.
Right.
And the idea is that at the end of that learning session, learners would work with local entrepreneurs and offer them actually digital solutions.
Wow.
So we did
Okay.
that with really different, let me say, we call them local value creators here in Mali, like for example in the fields of agriculture, in the fields also of what pottery, for example.
I see.
So our learners made those kind of platforms where, and then we had really very good feedbacks after that. Like some of those like told us that they were able to sell more than 5
Wow.
times what they used
More,
to sell,
because they
just-
have more access to people. Yeah.
because they have more access. And right now digital solutions
exactly.
are really
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
So I'll put you in contact
I am
with,
very open to
yeah,
it.
okay,
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
So actually, before ending, because we have a small section in this program that is called Futurotech, which means like the library of the future. And it's because we have some resources at Kabakoo that are really accessible to all the learners. Some books where you can learn about building with earth, with bamboo, with local
Yeah.
materials. And with each episode we present the learners and the viewers actually one of those books. And this time I chose actually this book to show you some because I saw a picture of a building that was built with BTC, and that is actually very modern. So there is, for example, this market in Burkina that is built also with BTC, if I'm not... it's
This
with
is
BTC.
Yes.
And there are also other buildings that are even more contemporary, more chic, more modern, actually. And just to tell you that those kind of resources and those kind of books are available here at Kabakoo for free whenever you want to come. Si vous voulez donc venir et accéder à ces livres, à ces ressources à Kabakoo, c'est ouvert à tout le monde. Donc venez dans la bibliothèque de Kabakoo et ça va vous permettre en fait d'avoir des idées, des inspirations pour des bâtiments qui sont faits avec la terre, qui sont faits avec des matériaux locaux. So let's see the question that you got from Guame Kader Oeima. So the question is whether it is possible to visit the company and where it is located.
So presently we're in Bamako. Bamako is in Mali. And everyone is free to come and visit. We'll be happy to receive visitors from all around the world, whether you're from the States or England or Senegal or South Africa. You're free to come to Terre Sahel. And
Cool. So you've heard it. C'est à Bamako. Bon, enfin, nous avons mentionné sur les posts donc le nom de Amara, Golfa et de Terre Sahel. Donc vous pouvez aussi aller sur la page de Terre Sahel et en apprendre davantage. Et il y a aussi une question. Bon, we already answered this question about organizing training workshops. So you said that you do that, right?
Yeah, in the near future,
Okay, so in the near future, Terre Sahel will have training workshops for you. Okay, so Amara, before we wrap up, do you have any words for those like who are interested in starting like a similar, maybe entrepreneurial journey in earth or sustainable construction here in Mali?
Yeah. So thank you first for inviting me, for giving me the chance
for being here.
to speak into your audience online and those who are viewing here. And I think one of the most important advice that I picked, or I think I can tell people is when you love something, like when you really dream about it, you know, just go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, if the love is there I think if the passion is there, no matter how difficult it gets, you can always push through, because you love it. So yeah, the love has to be there. Yeah.
Okay. So you've heard it. It's very clear, very concise, and very Thank you very much, Amara.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time.
Thank
As
you
I
for
told you,
having
I think our collaboration will go further actually
No
with
problem.
those cohorts that just started at Kabakoo.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone. Merci à tout le monde de nous avoir suivis.
Thank you.
Bon, comme je vous l'ai dit, si vous avez aussi besoin d'autres informations de Amara, de Terre Sahel, allez sur ses pages, sur LinkedIn, sur Facebook et contactez-le.
Oui.
Et on se voit très bientôt dans le prochain épisode de Banco Talks. Bye bye.
Bye bye. See you. Can I have a picture seated like this?
Which picture?
Just
of course.
yeah.